I never thought the day would come when I'd find myself sitting alone, staring at a phone screen, trying to make sense of something that felt so surreal I thought it had to be a bad joke. But it was. It was real. My wife Emily had been acting strange for a while now, distant, dismissive, snapping at me over little things. She'd always been the type to push her weight around, act like she was better than everyone else, and she loved to lie her way out of anything she didn't want to face. But I brushed it off, believing she was just stressed or maybe bored since I was overseas for a deployment. We'd been married for 5 years, and honestly, I trusted her more than anyone. We had our moments, sure, but I thought we had a good thing going. I had always considered her a little bitchy, yes, but she was beautiful and smart, and in her own way, she loved me. Or at least I thought she did. Then came the Christmas party at the base. I wasn't there, obviously. I was in some godforsaken country, half a world away, trying to do my job while she stayed home. She told me she was going out with her girlfriends, but I noticed she was unusually distant in her texts, short and evasive. I figured maybe she was just tired or wanted to have some fun. Little did I know that she was actually having a whole lot more than fun, something I'd never even imagined. It was a soldier, Jake, who finally tipped me off. He's a buddy from my unit and I trust him. One night he sends me a message with some photos. At first I thought it was a joke, some kind of prank. But no, these were real. They were from her Facebook page, taken from the base Christmas bash, and they showed her smiling, drunk with a tall guy, who I immediately recognized as her boss, Captain Harris, that bastard. The photos weren't just innocent, friendly party pics. They were close, her arm around his shoulder, her leaning into him, her lips almost touching his ear. And the worst part, she looked utterly comfortable, like she didn't give a damn if I saw. That moment when I saw her in that dress, her hair messy from laughter, caught in a candid shot, my stomach twisted. It was like a punch to the gut. How could she do this? How could she cheat on me with my commanding officer? It made no sense. The thing is, Emily always seemed so confident, so in control. She lied about her plans, and I knew she'd been hiding something. The weird, subtle changes in her behavior, less affection, more coldness, those late-night texts, now made sense. She'd been sneaking around behind my back just like I always suspected she would. I felt anger rise, boiling up inside me, but also a deep hurt I couldn't swallow. I kept staring at those photos, trying to see the truth in her face, but all I saw was betrayal. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. How dare she? How dare she sleep with my commanding officer while I was out risking my life? What kind of woman does that? I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't know how or when. The worst part was, I wasn't even sure what I wanted to say or hear. All I knew was that I'd never felt so betrayed in my life. The next morning, I woke up with that heavy feeling pressing down on my chest, like I'd been punched in the gut while I slept. I couldn't stop thinking about the photos, about Emily's smile, her arms around Harris, the way she looked so at ease with him. I kept replaying it in my head over and over. It was like a betrayal on a level I hadn't prepared for. I wanted to scream, to rage, but I sat there in silence, feeling like my entire world was crumbling. I knew I had to talk to her. I couldn't just pretend I hadn't seen it. But how do you confront someone about cheating on you with your boss, especially when that boss is a high-ranking officer? I kept telling myself to stay calm, but inside I was boiling. I wanted her to confess, to tell me why she did it, what she thought she was doing. I had so many questions, and I knew I couldn't hold back forever. When I finally reached her that afternoon, her voice was honeyed, kind of bitchy, like she was trying to pretend everything was normal. "Hey babe," she said, trying to sound casual. "What's up?" I took a deep breath. I saw the pictures, Emily, from the Christmas party, the ones Jake sent me. There was a brief pause on the other end. I could hear her swallowing hard. Then she tried to lie, as she always did when cornered. "Oh, they're nothing, just some stupid party pics. You know how these things go, people get drunk, take stupid photos." I clenched my fists. "That's not all, is it? You're lying, I know what I saw. You were all over Harris. You're sleeping with him, aren't you?" She scoffed. "You're overreacting. It's not like that. You're away, I was lonely, and he's just a friend. You think I'd cheat on you? Please. You're always so paranoid, always accusing me of stuff I don't do." Her voice was dripping with contempt. She didn't even try to deny it outright, just deflected, lied, made me feel like I was losing my mind. I felt my blood boil. Don't lie to me, Emily. I saw the pictures. I know you've been lying for months. The late nights, the secret texts, you've been hiding everything. And now I find out you're cheating on me with my boss. How stupid do you think I am? She huffed, crossing her arms. You don't know what you're talking about. Harris is just a friend, and yeah, maybe I had a little fun. You're gone all the time. I'm allowed to have a life too. You think I like hiding things from you. But I do it because I don't want your stupid deployment to ruin everything. You're so insecure, always accusing me of stuff I didn't do. I stared at her, feeling a mixture of disbelief and rage. This wasn't some innocent mistake. She was actively lying to my face about her affair. The woman I trusted, the woman I married, was out there screwing around with the man running the base. And she had the nerve to call me insecure. I wanted to smash something. I wanted to yell at her to make her see how much she had hurt me. But instead I just said, "You're lying. I don't believe a word you say anymore. Whatever this is, it's over." She sneered, "Fine. If that's how you want to play it, go ahead and think whatever you want. But you're making a huge mistake. You're just jealous because Harris is better looking than you anyway." Her voice was bitter, filled with that nasty edge that told me she'd been planning this for a long time. That was the moment I realized the extent of her cruelty. She didn't even try to deny it anymore. She just went for the cheap shots, trying to make me feel small and stupid. All I knew was I had to get out of this conversation before I lost my mind. I told her I was done, that I needed some space. I hung up and sat there, staring at the wall, trying to process what I just heard, what I'd just seen. I felt raw, betrayed, and numb all at once. The world that I'd built around her suddenly felt like a house of cards, ready to fall apart. I didn't sleep that night. I kept going over everything, trying to find a way to fix it, to understand how she could do this to me. But the truth was, I already knew. Emily was a bitchy, manipulative woman who wanted what she wanted, no matter the cost. And now she'd taken everything from me, my trust, my respect, maybe even my love. I just didn't know yet whether I could forgive her, or if I even wanted to try. The morning after that explosive confrontation, I felt like I'd been hit by a freight train. My mind was racing, trying to piece together what to do next. I kept thinking about everything she said, how she dismissed it as just a stupid party, how she called my feelings insecure, how she insisted Harris was just a friend. But I knew better. I knew what I saw, and I knew what she was hiding. And it wasn't just a one-time slip-up. It was a full-blown affair, and she didn't even bother to lie convincingly anymore. I also knew I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. If she was cheating on me, I had to decide how to handle it, whether I was going to fight for the marriage or cut my losses. But honestly, I was so pissed off, I wasn't sure I could look at her without seeing her with Harris. Every time I thought about her lips on him, her arms around him, it made me want to scream. I was hurt, furious, and feeling betrayed on a level I'd never experienced before. I decided I needed to get some space, clear my head. I called her again, telling her I was coming home early. Her reaction was surprisingly cold. She tried to act like everything was fine, like I was overreacting, but I could see the flicker of panic in her eyes. That made me angrier. How could she expect me to just come back and pretend nothing had happened? I wasn't going to be that naive. When I finally got home, the atmosphere was tense from the moment I walked through the door. Emily greeted me with that fake smile she always put on when she was trying to hide something. I didn't say much at first, just looked at her, feeling the weight of everything she'd done. The house felt small, claustrophobic, like I was suffocating in her lies. That day I decided I had to confront her again, this time with a plan. I wanted to hear her explain herself, or at least try to justify her actions. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. I sat down across from her, clenching my fist so I would lose it. "Emily," I said, voice low and controlled, "you can lie all you want, but I know what you did. I saw the pictures, I know about Harris, so tell me, what was it? Was it just sex? Was it just a fling?" She looked up at me with that bitchy smirk, the fake one that always made me want to punch her. "You're overreacting," she said. "It was nothing serious, just some fun, okay? I was lonely, you were gone, and Harris was there. It didn't mean anything, I swear." I shook my head, feeling my blood boil. Don't lie to me, Emily. I'm not stupid. You've been sneaking around for months. You lied to my face, dismissed my concerns, and now you want me to believe it was just fun. You think I don't see what's going on. You think I don't feel how much you've betrayed me." She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "Look, I get it, you're mad, but honestly, I don't see what the big deal is. Harris is just a decision I made because I needed some attention. I didn't think you'd find out, and I certainly did. Think it would blow up like this. You're making a huge deal out of nothing." That was the moment I realized she had no remorse, no real regret. She was just trying to minimize everything, make it seem trivial, like I was overreacting. But I was. I was hurt to my core, and I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I told her I needed some time alone to think, and I left her sitting there, smug and self-righteous. As I walked out of the house, I felt a mixture of sadness and rage. I'd trusted her, loved her, and now I felt like I'd been nothing but a fool. How could she be so callous? How could she just brush this off and act like nothing happened? I wasn't sure if I was more angry at her or at myself for not seeing it sooner. All I knew was I had to figure out what I was going to do next. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was a betrayal of everything I believed in, and I knew my life was about to change forever. The days that followed felt like walking through a fog. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smiling with Harris, heard her dismissing my feelings like I was some insecure fool. It was like my entire world had been shattered into a million pieces, and I didn't know how to pick them up or if I even wanted to try. All I knew was that I couldn't keep living like this, not with this weight on my chest. One thing I realized was that I had to be strategic. I couldn't let her see how much she'd hurt me, at least not yet. I started digging, trying to find out what I could about Harris and their relationship. I went through her phone when she was asleep, scrolling through messages, looking for anything that might give me more clues. What I found was worse than I expected: dozens of texts, late-night calls, photos, even flirtatious messages she hadn't deleted. She'd been lying about just having fun, but she'd been deep in it. The most shocking thing I found was an exchange of messages between her and Harris, where they were planning to meet again. She told him she couldn't wait to see him, that she was tired of hiding their affair, that she wanted more. That's when I finally understood how deep this thing went. It wasn't just a one-night stand or a mistake. It was a full-blown affair, with her actively planning to keep Harris in her life even after I returned. That realization hit me hard. I felt the anger surge again, but this time, mixed with a profound sadness. My wife, the woman I trusted, had been lying beside me every night while she was secretly screwing around with my boss. The man in charge of my unit, the man I looked up to, she'd been sleeping with him behind my back. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I'd been so blind to her manipulations. She always had a way of making me feel insecure, like I wasn't enough, and I see now she used that to her advantage. I knew I had to make a move, something decisive. I couldn't just sit around, stewing in my own heartbreak. I needed to confront her once and for all. That night I sat her down again, knowing I had to be firm but careful. I told her I knew everything: the messages, the plans, all of it. Her face didn't flicker with guilt or remorse. Instead, that same bitchy smirk appeared again. "You're insane," she said. "You think I'm just some cheating whore. Harris and I, it's just sex, that's all. You're overreacting as usual. You're just jealous because you're never here and I needed someone who actually cares about me." I felt my fists tight. "Jealous? You think I'm jealous? You think I don't feel sick knowing you were sleeping with the guy who's supposed to be in charge of my unit? That you're lying right to my face, trying to pretend it was just sex? I trusted you, I loved you, and you're out there screwing Harris behind my back and calling me paranoid." She rolled her eyes. "Get over yourself. Maybe if you were around more, I wouldn't have needed Harris. You're so insecure you act like I'm some kind of prize to be fought over. Grow up." That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about her complete lack of respect for me and what we had. She didn't even try to deny it anymore. She was proud of what she'd done, proud of sneaking around behind my back. I could see that she enjoyed the power she held over me now, the way she dismissively waved it off like it was nothing. I told her I was done, that I couldn't do this anymore. I was leaving. I packed a bag, feeling every step heavy with heartbreak. She sat there, unbothered, acting like she didn't care. I knew I had to get out before I lost myself entirely, before her lies completely destroyed whatever was left of my sanity. As I walked out that night, I felt nothing but hollow. I'd gone from feeling like the happiest man alive to a man betrayed, humiliated, and broken. But deep down, I knew that I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I had to face what was real, my wife's lies, her betrayal, and the fact that I needed to decide whether I was going to fight to save what was left or just walk away and start again. The pain was unbearable, but I also knew I'd never forget. This wasn't just a betrayal of marriage. It was a lesson about trust, deception, and how sometimes the people you love the most can hurt you in ways you never thought possible. The days that followed were the hardest I've ever gone through. I stayed with a buddy for a while, just trying to clear my head, but everything around me reminded me of her. Her voice, her face, the way she used to smile at me, every memory felt like a stab. I kept replaying all the lies, the sneaking around, the deliberate way she'd lied to my face for months. It was like a betrayal I'd never recover from. I trusted her with my life, my heart, and she'd spit in my face. One night I decided I needed to understand just how deep her lies went. I dug through her social media, her emails, and her text logs. I wanted to see if there was anything I missed, anything that could give me a better picture of what she was really doing. What I found was a flood of proof. Not just the photos from Harris, but a long trail of messages, explicit and flirtatious, that she'd exchanged with him. She'd been planning to leave me, I think, long before I even suspected. There was a particular message she sent Harris right after I left for deployment. She told him she couldn't wait to see him again, that she was tired of hiding, and that she wanted to make their affair more official. That hit me like a punch in the stomach. She wasn't just cheating, she was planning to leave me for him. That realization made everything so much worse. She wasn't just screwing around, she was actively betraying me, trying to replace me. At first, I was filled with rage. How dare she? How dare she use me like some disposable piece of trash? But underneath that anger was a deep, aching sadness. I had loved her, wanted to build a life with her, and now I saw her for what she really was: selfish, manipulative, and cold. I wondered if I had ever really known her, or if I had just been too blind to see her true face. I knew I had to confront her again. I couldn't just leave things hanging, so I arranged to meet with her at her place. When I arrived, she was sitting on the couch like she hadn't a care in the world, scrolling through her phone. I looked at her, eyes burning with anger and pain, and I told her I knew everything. I laid out the evidence, the messages, the photos, the planning. Her face didn't change at all. Instead, that bitchy smirk returned. "You're crazy," she said, dismissive. "All of it, you're just jealous. Harris and I, it's just sex. I don't even care about him. You're making a mountain out of a molehill." I felt my jaw tight. "That's not true. I saw the messages. I saw how you're planning to leave me for him. You've been lying to my face for months, and now you want me to believe it's just sex, that you're innocent." She rolled her eyes again like I was some kind of fool. "Whatever, you're just insecure. You're always accusing me of stuff, and honestly, I got tired of lying. Maybe I wanted to see what it was like to have a little fun. You're away all the time, and I'm not some prude. Harris is just a guy who gave me attention, that's all." That was the final straw. Her words and her attitude made it clear she didn't respect me, didn't love me. I was just some fool to her, someone she could keep dangling and lying to. I told her I couldn't do this anymore, that I was done with her lies and her games. I said I was leaving for good. She just smirked again like I was some pathetic fool she was better than. I walked out of that house feeling emptier than ever. I knew I'd never forget what she did. I'd lost my wife, my trust, and a part of myself that I'd never get back. But I also knew I had to move on. I couldn't let her destroy me completely. I'd face whatever came next, whether that meant rebuilding my life or cutting her out entirely. Looking back, I realize how much I let her manipulate me, how her bitchy attitude, her lies, her fake smiles all masked her true nature. But I also learned a harsh lesson about trust and betrayal. Sometimes, love isn't enough to save you from someone's cruelty. And now I'm left standing here trying to pick up the pieces, wondering how I let it get so far. All I know is that I won't be blindsided again. That's the one thing I've learned, to trust myself more than I ever did before. After I walked out that night, I knew I had crossed a line I'd never imagined I approach. It wasn't just about her cheating. It was about everything she represented, her lies, her manipulations, her complete disregard for what we had. That moment of leaving was the culmination of all the pain, anger, and betrayal I'd been swallowing for weeks. I felt hollow, drained, but oddly lighter in a way, as if a huge weight had finally been lifted off my shoulders. For days afterwards, I stayed away from her, avoiding her calls, her texts. I needed real space, time to process everything without her trying to worm her way back in with false promises or manipulative guilt. I threw myself into work and trying to rebuild a sense of normalcy. Honestly, it wasn't easy. Every memory, every laugh, every quiet moment we shared seemed tainted now. Her betrayal haunted me, but at the same time, I knew that holding onto the anger wouldn't do me any good. It just kept me stuck. Eventually, I realized that I had a choice. I could stay bitter, let her control my thoughts, or I could accept what happened and move forward. I chose the latter. I started focusing on myself, my health, my career, my future. I understood now that trust, once broken this badly, might never fully heal, but I could learn to forgive myself for trusting her so blindly. Through all of this, I learned something important. People reveal who they really are in moments of crisis. Emily's true colors showed when her facade cracked. Her bitchy attitude, her lies, her manipulations, they weren't just flaws, they were her true nature. It made me see her clearly for the first time. And while it hurts to think about how much I lost, I also feel a strange sense of liberation. I no longer have to chase after someone who didn't value me. Looking back, I'd tell anyone in a similar situation, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, don't ignore it. Confront it sooner rather than later. Once the trust is shattered, it's incredibly hard to rebuild. But more than that, don't let anyone diminish your worth. I learned that the hard way. My wife might have been a bitchy, manipulative person, but I am not. I am stronger than I thought, and I refuse to let her betrayal define my future. Now I'm focusing on moving on, healing, and finding someone who truly values honesty and respect. Life will go on, and I've come to terms with the fact that sometimes the most painful lessons are the ones that teach you how to be better and how to trust yourself more. That's what I'll carry forward.